I finally managed to swatch the entire range of the new LANCôME bronzers. I think it's useful to see all the shades all together so you can see the differences, and we are going to discuss the shades one by one. I'll show you also the highlighters. For the highlighters, there are 3 shades in total. So 7 shades of bronzers and 3 shades of highlighters. A few words about the formula. The formula of the bronzers contains talc. I found it velvety, so more than silky and lightweight. I found it very finely milled, but at the same time velvety and buttery. I think this formula is blurring, but it's a type of formula that you need to place and buff. It blends effortlessly, but I definitely can feel a kind of creaminess in the formula. I know there's fragrance among the ingredients, but I couldn't detect it, honestly, so it's not overpowering. Let's discuss the shades. In my opinion, what makes these LANCôME bronzers unique are especially the lighter shades. And I'm saying so because it's very difficult to find fair shades that are not too bright. Sometimes those light shades are bright yellow. I don't know why, but in my opinion, it derives from the fact that shades are made without a double check on real skin. And I don't think this is the case for LANCôME. I think these shades are very balanced. You can see all the shades from the fairest on the left towards the darkest on the right. The fairest shade is the most yellow, is yellow beige, but it has gray, so it's perfect for bronzer. The presence of gray makes it unique. It's difficult to find a muted grayish tone like this. I wouldn't say it's a contour shade, it's more of a bronzer. And for my type of skin, with some muted quality, I think that this tone of fair, number 1, is the best one, and therefore I decided to pick this shade. The second shade, I would say, is also muted. On my skin, I think it's very balanced. It has more red. It's a beautiful shade for fair skin as well. A touch more red compared to the fair shade. I was toggling between these 2 shades, so number 1 on the left and the second from the left is number 2. I decided to pick number 1, the fair shade, because I wanted more of a gray shade. I will compare soon with my existing collection. If I find overlaps in my collection, the LANCôME would be my preference in terms of formula, because how smooth and velvety it is. Shade number 2 is more towards Tom Ford Terra or my Surat bronzer Soleil Clair that I showed you in my previous video about bronzers. Number 3, shade number 3, the third from the left, is the most orange. It's the most standard shade of bronzer with a touch of more orange compared to all the other shades. Shade number 4 is closer to shade number 2, a tad darker. So again, is more on the reddish side compared to number 3. So I would say the intensity of number 3 and number 4 is similar, but shade number 4 is more red, while the shade number 3 is a touch more orange. Then we have shade number 5, is a touch darker compared to shade number 4, but still with the same reddish quality. Then we have shade number 6. Shade number 6 is the most terracotta, a reddish shade with a touch of yellow that makes it brighter compared to shade number 7. Shade number 7, that is the darkest one, is red and muted, but not in a gray way. It has a muted quality, more brown, so it's a reddish brown and the darkest of them all. I think that these darkest shades are the best if you have more cool undertone, and I think it's rare to find them. I found those type of shades in Pat McGrath range, but it's hard to find this intensity with reddish undertone. It's more common to find orange shades that are darker rather than these reddish ones. As for the highlighters, I found them nice, but not a must. I think the bronzers are more unique in the market. The highlighters are very silicone-y. They have a kind of a wet silicone effect when touched and swatched. If I have to find a similar formula when it comes to the experience, I would say they are closer in terms of the feeling that I had to the Pat McGrath ones. Not the baked gelée ones, but the ones in a circular pan that are very silicone and smooth. So it's a great formula. It's just that I prefer baked gelée highlighters or the Chinese waxy gelée formulas. But this is very nice. It's just that I'm not into highlighters, never been, but especially right now that are kind of out of fashion, not truly into these highlighters. I have swatches of highlighters under direct sunlight. You find that the sheen is very pretty. They have sort of a grainy effect, not as smooth as I'd like them to be, but I think with the brush, with the fan brush, you can achieve a very thin, smooth effect. This is very close to, the standard powder formula by Pat McGrath that many love, but personally I don't. Better to say I don't care too much. I have other favorites. You can see also the bronzers under direct sunlight. Yeah, there's the shadow on my phone, but I think you can detect a satin quality. So they are not totally flat matte. They have kind of hydrated skin effect. They are slightly satin, but without any detectable sheen. It's just a slight effect. It is not totally flat matte in a powdery way. So the effect is very pretty. And under direct sunlight, I think you can see better the undertones. In this case, you have that the lightest shade is on the right towards my wrist and the darkest shade is on the left towards my elbow. Under direct sunlight, I think you can detect that shade number 1 looks more yellow. Shade number 2 is very balanced and muted as well. Shade number 3 is the most orange. Shade number 4 is the most pink, maybe. Shade number 5 is a darker pink with a touch of yellow. Number 6 is the terracotta one, is the brightest, and number 7 is more muted, still on the reddish side. Some shades are brighter, other shades are more muted. Personally, I like many of these. I like number 4 a lot. I hope it was useful. Let me know if you decided to pick any of these. The shade selection is excellent. I can definitely see curation in these shades. Until next time, bye bye.